And where are you studying? What uni?
We're at UE.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're in filmmaking at UE.
Is it? Yeah, brilliant.
Sorry, asking the questions.
Ask some questions and I'll say my answer whether or not you use it.
So we're kind of looking at two very different forms of cheap clothing. We're looking at, you know, fast fashion and things like that, and cheap clothing in, like, you know, thrift stores, second-hand clothes.
Yeah.
Obviously, one being very damaging to the environment. And,
Yes.
Yeah, and both kind of being as well very big trends at the moment.
And fast fashion went so far as to be like, oh, you're going for vintage. Well, we're going to make vintage. Look, hey, look, this is vintage. This is retro.
And now vintage means something very different.
Well, yeah, and now kids are coming up thinking that it just means it looks like it's from the 90s.
Yeah.
For me, there's, you know, that's retro. Retro is something new that looks old. And vintage is something that is old.
Yeah.
And that's the distinction. But
And when you think about, like, demographic, like in terms of, like, maybe age or class or race.
it's pretty much everyone. We
Yeah.
get, it's certainly in here. What I do notice is that shops will specialise towards their markets.
Yeah.
If you go to some places, they will basically stock their shop full of Instagram, what's hot on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And their whole shop is set up for people who are doing the vintage thing, and then you get really like high-end boutiques that they sell vintage designer wear, but you're paying a high price for it. It's not cheaper because then you're into the realms of finding pieces.
Yeah.
There's lots of kind of entrepreneurs who run Depop shops who will come to shops like mine and look for stuff to sell on
For more
Depop for more money, right?
Yeah.
Because they've seen, and it's this niche market. What's happened is that as it gets bigger, there's only X amount of good quality stock out. The people have this idea that they think that you, like all the stock in here, you could just buy it in a charity shop for nothing. And it's like, well, no, because that's what it was like 25 years ago, right?
Market's different now.
Now it's different. Now you have to go. You go to your charity shop, and what's the charity shop full of? Fast fashion. They're buying loads of it, and they're just
and they get throw it away after, like,
and-
give it away after 2 weeks.
exactly. And okay, maybe then they're not chucking it in the bin. They're donating it, and the charity shops are getting it. They're getting an awful lot of stuff, and they're getting an awful lot of stuff that's not any better than. And I heard that there's a whole other side of it, which is it all gets bagged up and sent to Africa. And they just get sold on the markets to Africa, and in Africa it then gets sold on their markets as cheap clothes. But the upshot of that is what happens is it destroys the local textile market. Right? So all the local handmade textiles and hand decorated batiks suddenly are now incredibly expensive in comparison to a bunch of stuff you can buy on the market for cheap, which is our cast-offs. And that's the kind of
That comes into our last question. What would you tell the shoppers of today?
Don't go straight for the new stuff. Look, can I have a look and see what there is second hand? Because you'd be surprised.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Right, pleasure. Well, good luck with the rest of it. I'm sure everyone else will just tell you to fuck off. I don't mind chatting. So.